Hello, Teller County. This is Sheriff Jason Mikesell again, and we're here to talk about 25-003. This bill is a travesty to all Colorado citizens. Here's what this bill actually did, and there's a lot of underlying issues that really come forth with it. And here's the biggest one. These legislatures in the Colorado Senate and House that voted for this bill, and I'll leave a link to all their names on the page, but they have taken rights away from Colorado citizens, and they didn't care what anybody said. There wasn't any testimony that was going to make them change from a party line to a constituents' valued information. And I think that's the biggest concern that I have in Colorado right now is it doesn't matter what we in law enforcement, you as citizens, or anyone else has to say. You have a runaway legislature. Each legislator has decided to take away your individual freedoms and rights. And here's the sad part for that. I've been in law enforcement now for over 25 years. You have a lot of veterans in our communities that really have done so much amazing good outside the United States to protect your freedoms and your rights. This bill, done by a lot of people that could care less whether you have rights or not, have just stripped your Second Amendment from you and asked you to buy it back, and then created a place where sheriffs have to sell it to you, or they'll strip our post certifications away. And then it's telling counties, you will pay for this because we as a state have already burned through $1.2 billion and we don't have a way to pay for this, so we're going to make you do it yourselves, which, by the way, is what's called an unfunded mandate. I think there's a lot of civil ramifications that have with this case, and I think it will be a case, not just a Senate bill, because at some point it's going to have a lot of lawsuits, which are going to cost Colorado taxpayers even more money to defend something that we didn't want in the first place. So unfortunately for you and I and everyone else involved with this, it just is one of those things that none of us want, none of us like, and it's being fed to us by a bunch of legislatures that voted on a party line that really didn't want to think outside the box to understand what their constituents wanted, and that there was no stakeholder meetings that talked about it. I sat through hours of testimony by people that really, they called experts that didn't know which end of the firearm that the bullet actually came out of. So there's a lot of really good people that stood for rights in Colorado. And I've had a lot of them on our show to actually have this discussion with you. Right now, our county commissioners are looking at how to deal with this. I'm figuring out how to deal with this because we do know that Jared Polis will either not sign the bill and allow it to go into law, or he will sign the bill into law because he's not talking to anybody about this, which tells me he's trying to ratify all the existing democratic values that he has found through the very left-leaning side of the party, and they're trying to codify it so that they can keep winning elections. And I don't know that that's going to happen if they keep pushing bills like this, because I think there's a lot of people that are just sick of how they're being treated across Colorado. And here's the other side of this. What really irritates me is that I have a lot of people here in this county that travel to Colorado Springs and up by Denver to work in the gun industry. They're looking at no longer having jobs, which means it is increasing the issue and the load on Colorado to deal with how do we deal with our shortages in programs to assist them and once they lose their jobs. I don't think Colorado thought about that when Mr. Polis looked at this bill and decided he's going to sign this bill or just let it go into law. How much those industries in Colorado have been lost. We lost Magpul to Texas. We're losing different companies throughout Colorado. There's a possibility of losing our Buffalo Bullets, which is actually one of the larger bullet companies out of the United States that sits in Denver. You know, you have sporting goods stores that are going to go out of business. And you also are looking now at the mom and pops that have gun shops, which this is 70% of their sales for what they are banning, and how that's going to affect them. I have lots of little gun shops here in Teller County, and people that do home shops from home. Older people that use this as a second or as an income to deal with their shortfalls and what they have since they've retired. And I'm telling you, this is going to harm them immensely. And it's sad to me to see gun sports leave Colorado. You know, one of the issues in Colorado is that we have some of the best shooting sports in the United States. Well, we won't have for much longer. I recently had found out a sheriff had been giving a letter to different shooting sports organizations to be able to bring their firearms in, that he wouldn't do anything to them. And that was called into question by different representatives from the state of Colorado. I am tired of the threats, and I'm tired of legislatures not listening to us, county sheriffs, police chiefs, and even citizens. So at some point, we have to vote better, because obviously that's what will change things. But thank you, Teller County, and all those that are watching. I will list all the different senators and House members that did sign this bill to push it forward. And thank you for all of you for watching. And just know, we still fight with you.
We encourage you to write Governor Polis to tell him to veto Senate Bill 25-003. Otherwise, SB 25-003 goes into law and becomes the Jared Polis Gun Ban. To give you ideas on how to express your opposition to the bill, the show's notes will contain a link to examples of letters written by others who do not support the Jared Polis Gun Ban for a variety of reasons. Email Governor Polis at governorpolis@state.co.us. And when discussing the bill over social media, include #Jared Polis Gun Ban.